Dear Boomers, on July the 21st was the day that Joe Biden stepped down. And in a 20-minute period, he endorsed Kamala to be the runner up, the one who would be running for president. I did a video about this, but let's do a little update. The fact is that Joe was very brave to give up power like that because he knew he was on a trajectory to lose. What was most interesting was that he had gotten COVID probably around that time, the 20th, the 19th, or 18th of July, and had become very, very weakened. And may have been the second case that he had in kind of a short amount of time. And the thing is, the bravery of him to step down was unbelievable because Trump thought he was going to win. He thought after he, had his near miss, the near miss assassination attempt, and also they thought they had a straight lane to winning. I don't know why, because I thought I would vote for a blade of grass before I would vote for Donald Trump. However, by Joe stepping down and having Kamala step forth with the first thing that she did was go to the Delaware headquarters in Wilmington, and Joe was on the phone because he was still not able to get out among the people with his COVID. And that was a very moving talk. You could tell. I haven't heard this very much, but you could tell that the two of them are very close. There's no power play between the two of them. Kamala, during her 3.5 years as VP, was not out to outshine Joe. And any number of people would have tried to do that. So then she chose, after a number of weeks, she chose Governor Tim Walz to be her VP pick. And he is Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Wonderful, or Mr. Ted Lasso, Coach Lasso, Coach Walz. It's just amazing because of the most important thing about Tim Walz, and everybody thinks whatever they want to think, but he just exudes nothing but love and humility. And he's funny, and he's sharp, and he can think on his feet. And soon he's going to have a debate with J.D. Vance, who is very arrogant, very cruel, and mean, which is just perfect for Donald Trump. They are a perfect couple, except I don't think at this point Donald Trump is very happy with J.D. Vance, and I think maybe it's possible that he will relinquish him, you're fired kind of thing. So anyway, that is yet to be seen. Now we are heading into the weekend before the Democratic National Convention, and I enjoy these things, especially this one will be very, very moving and exciting because we are fighting for democracy. And over the last few weeks, I have discussed what democracy means to me. A perfect example is my friend Jono came to visit over the last few days, and we had vast disagreements with Kamala. And it turns out he had not watched Tim Walz's speeches or given him any chance. But when I told him this morning at breakfast that Tim Walz was really Ted Lasso, he's a coach, he is a motivator, and he gets everybody, excited about the future and hope and all this and that. Nobody's been very excited about the future for years, but Joe has done a good job, don't get me wrong. He did things that nobody else has done, and he's made life easier for us. Not for everybody, of course. But so my point with Jono is that we represent together what democracy looks like. We did have a shouting match the first night, but it was all in great fun and love. Then as time went on, he admitted he had not really looked at Tim Walz's, especially that, I mean, every speech he gave, but the original speech when he came out onto the stage in Philadelphia to show the world who he is was absolutely, oh my gosh, I was so excited and I cried. It was so beautiful. Kamala has amazing political instincts, and I have great faith in her. Now, there's people like Jono who doesn't think, I don't know what he thinks. He has friends who hate her. He does not like her. I mean, there's no sense in hating Kamala. So this is very exciting. We're moving into the weekend before the Democratic National Convention. And as I mentioned on another video, I was a part of the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia, no, New York City, sorry, in the beginning of the 1990s, and we were there for Jerry Brown and not for Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, in my opinion, was corrupt and also chasing little panties, and I don't think that that should ever be done. I mean, I know politicians, in their quest for power, tend to also have a high sex drive and may even be sex addicts. Not to say that, certainly not true of Barack Obama or Joe Biden. So, we went to that convention, and there was some weird thing that happened where Jerry Brown was off campaigning, and some of the people that he had employed were using cocaine in another room somewhere in his governor mansion. They were caught. So everybody was making jokes about Jerry Brown being a druggie. Well, I don't think Jerry Brown has ever done any drugs, according to what has always been said. So the BBC came to me and said, "How does it feel to be a druggie for Jerry?" She was drunk. So I said, "Well, how does it feel to be an alcoholic for the BBC?" And she stopped badgering me at that point. I could tell that the whole Democratic National Convention at that time was set up for Bill. Everybody, his cronies were walking around with big pins that said FOB, Friends of Bill, and that means Friends of Bill Wilson. That's FOB means Friends with Bill Wilson, the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. So anyway, that was fun though, and I'll never forget going to the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens. They had a big party there, and yes, Hillary spoke, Bill spoke, and after a while everybody felt that they could unite behind Bill and Hillary. This convention is going to be completely different because this is our first female president and our first black president of also Asian, Indian American roots. She is brilliant. She started out as a courtroom prosecutor, and then after that she became, I don't think she was elected as an attorney general, but not before. She was, she's something between there. And then after that, she was elected U.S. Senator, and then she became the VP. Nobody has the credentials that Kamala has. And to denigrate her great, another thing that was really great, in the Senate, she really brought down these patriarchal white men who should never have been allowed to be on the Supreme Court or had been allowed to be in government at all, because they were all liars, just like Donald Trump. So that was, I'm very excited about watching Kamala do her thing at the convention, and Tim Walz, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama will be speaking. Joe Biden, of course, will be speaking. And I love this stuff. And I really feel like, and I love it that her crowds chant USA, USA, because the Republican Party has co-opted the American flag. And now the Republican Party does not really exist, and they need to rebuild themselves. And that's the whole point of the Republican Party of today. They don't exist. They used to be very conservative, but they also believed in the Constitution. Now they believe in Donald Trump, and anybody who participated in the insurrection, January 6th, 2021, should not be in government. And how we let this go so far, to think that there was an insurrection at that Capitol and it was very violent. That was not anything to be taken lightly. And these guys, these people. So I'm excited by everything. I believe that my main, I love everything that she stands for and everything that she is bringing forth into the consciousness of the American public, in direct opposition to Donald Trump, who seems to be losing his mind. He does not have a thought that goes from A to B. He is exhibiting signs of dementia. So now that Joe is out, the press is starting to think, well, what are we going to do about this old Donald Trump, who not only can't string sentences together, but who also seems to be mentally ill. And he has no clue whatsoever about anything. He's just an old guy. And I don't believe in this ageism stuff. And people who are in their 80s probably shouldn't be running for president. It's the hardest job in the world. And Donald Trump will not step down because he does not want to go to jail. Everything that is hinging on, he believes, everything is hinging on him winning so that he can pardon those January 6th criminals, and so he can abolish any court case that he is involved with to prove his guilt. And all this stuff, everything hinges on him winning, according to Donald Trump, so that he doesn't have to face the consequences of his vast criminality. And that is what's wrong here. And I think more and more people see it. There is a Republican for Harris movement that's gaining huge steam. The Midas Touch people are getting all kinds of people, Republicans, saying they're voting for Harris because they cannot believe what the Republican Party has become, number one. But Donald Trump is the Republican Party. I don't think that's any one person should represent these political parties. I believe that that's the problem with this whole situation. Now that Biden is out, we see now Donald not being able to, he's losing it. He knows he's losing it. And people say, well, he might they normalize, the press has normalized Donald Trump to the point they think that he has a chance to come back. Come back from what? He's never, in my opinion, been very coherent to begin with. Very, very hateful. And when he was running for president and he won, I watched those rallies and he was making fun of everybody. And in fact, this 2025 project is very dangerous. He plans to seek retribution if he wins for all his anybody who criticizes him, and he plans to replace everybody in government with Trump loyalists. And that's the very beginning of what's wrong. This 2025 thing, which he pretends not to know anything about, is a lie because he hangs out with the people who have created 2025 project. But J.D. Vance wrote, I believe, the preface or something of the 2025. And to me, I have mentioned it before, the most horrifying thing about Project 2025 is what they plan to do with our immigrants. They plan to round people up and put them in some sort of concentration camp. They, of course, wouldn't call it that. They'd call it something else. And then send them back home. And then at his rallies, people are carrying signs that say mass deportation. This among everything is very upsetting to me. It's all upsetting to me. And of course, women's rights is what I've always been involved with. Um, Having these politicians have anything to do with our bodies is a thing that needs to go. And everybody says, well, as a way to placate the situation, well, Donald Trump believes in making the states decide. And what that means is the states decide to, and then you can't leave the state. You get some sort of, you go to jail if you seek an abortion outside of that state. States deciding abortion is just the same as allowing the government to do anything regarding our bodies. So allowing the states to decide about abortion is just the worst whitewash I've ever heard. And abortion needs to be legalized across the board, but really reproductive freedom needs to be legalized across the board. And that's where the chant for freedom means the most to me. The freedom for me and my sisters and men too. They don't want to see their beautiful significant others to have this kind of grief about what it is. A lot of people have try to start a family, and then they have some sort of problem with the pregnancy. That's not unheard of. Well, every 1 out of 3 pregnancies end in miscarriages. And it's hard. It's harder than you think to get pregnant. So if you have a miscarriage, and J.D. Vance wants to police your menstrual periods. I mean, I'm not, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. This is what's in Project 2025, people. Please, please, please. Anyway, I'm excited about the convention. I'm happy that finally the truth is coming out. The people are starting to pay attention. The convention will skyrocket Kamala's popularity, and people will tune in to see what she's all about. And I'm excited. I'm all for it. There is going to be a video that comes up right there. Take a look at it and enjoy.